Hey pinball fans, here's the installation information for the Pop Eliminator V2. Here's an example of one of the Pop Eliminators. Yours is going to look different depending on which version you get for a specific game. We're going to go over the generic functions in this video, and then we'll give individual videos for the specific functions for each model that goes in the different games. So I'm going to power this one up just so you can get an idea of what it's going to look like and the functions you have to control this one. So you would plug in your regular power cable for your game, and when you power on your game, this is what it's going to look like. You're going to have three lights that light up here to indicate that the Pop Eliminator is booting, and they're sort of go in a rotating pattern. There's a countdown that shows on the screen, and there's a green light that shows where the power plug is. Might be hard to see in this light here, but that's what you're looking for. And this will count down and mute the game, and when the countdown times out, the game will then get the full audio pass through to the speakers right there. So now the screen will stay on for a few seconds to show you what the Pop Eliminator is set to for that timeout, which is 30 seconds right now. That's the default. And in a few seconds the screen will time out, and the lights in the screen will both dim and go into a sleep mode. The light for the power plug, there's a green light in there, will stay on, so you know that the Pop Eliminator is on and it's waiting for the power off from the game to continue to mute the speakers and prevent the pop on power off. So at any time when the Pop Eliminator is asleep or awake, you can make the settings change. When it's asleep, you just hit one button and it will come back to life and still be on that default screen showing you the setting, and you push either of the buttons again and that will go into the settings screen. The settings screen will stay here for about 5 seconds, and that gives you an opportunity to go up and down on the time, and when you leave it alone for about 5 seconds, it will just save that setting. So if the game is a Jersey Jack, Spooky, or something of that vintage, it takes about 30 seconds to boot, and so that's why that's the default timeout. You want to have the timeout set long enough for the game to start up where all those pops would normally happen, and then before or just about the time the game is ready to play, you'd want the Pop Eliminator to then time out and pass the audio through to the game. So 30 seconds is about the right amount of time. Again, you can just make that change here in the settings. For example, I can set it to 31. We'll give it a few seconds and it will save that setting, and next time the game is turned on, it will then wait 31 seconds to mute the game until it passes audio through and the game's ready to play. So you can change that based on your game. All you have to do is watch the Pop Eliminator count down, see when your game is ready to play, and then adjust from there. So for the advanced settings, you can change the voltage cutout percentage, and that watches the voltage to the game, and when the power is turned off, it cuts out the speakers before they have a chance to pop. So you can, and this is only needed in certain instances. The default setting for this is 95%, and you can leave it at that for most games. The way you'll know if you want to change this is if your game is still popping when it turns off, or if the Pop Eliminator is cutting out while you're playing the game. Either one of those indicates that the percentage is not good for your power supply, your power feed to your house or location where the game is, something like that. So you can make that adjustment in the advanced settings screen. The way you get to that is simply wake the screen up again and then hold the down button just for a long press, and that will load the debug screen. And you can see on the debug screen it has a few parameters that show you the voltages it's detecting, but then below that it has an option or a setting that shows the cutoff percentage. Right now it's at 95% again, which is the default, and you can change that by just using the up and down keys, going up and down, and that will adjust the voltage percentage that it's looking for to cut out the speakers. Possibly in some games, like earlier Jersey Jack games, Wizard of Oz, that game, and I think possibly Dialed In use a 24 volt power board or audio board, and so those may need a higher setting on this percentage. It just depends on where the board is located, what kind of power it's using, that sort of thing. So you can adjust this based on those prior indicators that I noted, but you could also email us if you have any questions. That'd be at support@pinballmods.co. And so once you're done making changes here, and this is a screen you could also send us a screenshot of while your game is turned on, or just a photo of, and then we can take a look and give you some advice based on what we see here. So once you're done here, you just hold down the down button again, and it will go back, save that setting, go back to the main screen, and again it will time out after a few seconds. Those are the main controls of the system. We'll go over the individual controls and connections based on your specific game. And if you are using this in a configuration that's not one of the 4 manufacturers that we support by default, these are the connections, which are also listed on our website. This is a 12 to 48 volt supply here, and then skip a pin, and the next pin is ground. So that's how you would connect it. This is the screw terminal version, which works for most any application, but you can also use the RCA version, which is fairly generic, but then any version will work for any game that you want to make an adapter for. Once the pop eliminator turns off, and I'll show you that in 1 second here, it's going to display that debug screen for a few seconds, as long as it has enough power to do so. And that's so you can record a video of the pop eliminator turning off if you need to do some debugging. So just put your phone on record the screen of the pop eliminator, and turn the game off. Then you can go back on the video just to the precise moment when the game is turned off, and it will show you the various voltages it's detecting as the game is turning off. And when we do it here on camera in full speed, it's going to be very hard to see what it's showing, and it's going to look sort of flickery. But when you play it back in video slowly, you can see each of those frames and use that information for debugging. So I'll go ahead and just remove the power here, and you can see it just sort of flash that screen for a second. You might want to hit the button to turn the screen on before you power off the game, just so it's ready to go. But either way, it's going to try to show that debug information right at the end there, so you can get a little bit of feedback depending on any sort of issues you may need to be solving in your game. So that's the basics here for the pop eliminator. Check out the 4 individualized videos for the installs for each of the specific manufacturers, and hope you enjoy your silent game.